Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and this is A Traveling Knitter. I'm not going to be talking about knitting today. I'm actually going to do a bookish video. I've talked about this many times. Reading is my first love, and if I didn't knit, I would be reading most likely, or playing video games, or crafting, but you get the gist. What I wanted to do for this video is a 21 books that I would like to read in 2021. I love lists, I love statistics and all of that, and I typically do this for myself, but I thought, why not make a video out of it? So this is specifically 21 books that I own that are on my shelf. They're not on my shelf right now, but that I own. This does not include new releases, and maybe I'll do a separate video if I don't know, if I feel like it. Really, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. It's if I feel like it, because my channel, my rules. But yeah, so let's just jump right in. So the first book that I'm going to talk about, I have on my Kindle, and I'll throw it up here, and it is Mexican Gothic. I have wanted to read this book ever since it came out. I read her previous book to this, and I loved it. I still think about that book. Originally, I rated it a 4, and I changed that to a 5 because of just the lasting impact it had. I really, really liked it. So I just hope Mexican Gothic gives me the same feeling. It is about, I think it's like sisters, where one of the sisters gets kind of a weird letter from her sister who is married and living with her husband's family. And then when she goes to check up on her, it all like seems like fine, but really it's not. So very excited to read that. And I bought it on my Kindle because it was like $3 and I've been wanting it, and so I just grabbed it. The next book that I would like to read is Tests of the Road by Rachel Hartman. I reread Seraphina and then Shadow Scale this year in 2020, and Tests of the Road it's like the next duology. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a duology. Rachel Hartman posted on Twitter, or she tweeted on Twitter, whatever, that there was going to be another book, but I feel like the pandemic really threw things through a loop, so I'm not sure when it's going to come out. The way that it sounded was soon, but that was like either at the beginning of the pandemic or before it even started in the United States, I should say. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I really want to read Test of the Road. I heard that it's a bit heavier than Seraphina and Shadow Scale. So Test of the Road is set in the same land of Jared or Gored. You never really know how to pronounce these mythical lands until there's a movie or you listen to the audio. But Tess she's different. Her family wants her to become a nun, I guess, because she's not getting married or something. And instead of going into the nunnery, Tess runs away. But she doesn't see it as running away. She sees it as running towards her future. What her future is, we don't know. I don't know, but I hope to find out when I read this book. I also want to start this book, the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I own the trilogy this trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and then I also own The City We Became, which is right up there. But I want to start with this one because this series, this trilogy, every single book won the Hugo Award, which is an award given to best fantasy book. So I figured, why not start out with the best? This series, from what I understand, is around a society that keeps having to start over because of a natural disaster. And from the reviews that I've read, the Earth is essentially a character. So that sounds really interesting. I wonder if it's going to be similar to The Book Thief, which is narrated by Death. So maybe that's similar. I don't know. I've wanted to read this, and it has that really nice like feeling for a paperback. It looks great. I mean, look at all the accolades. New York Times bestselling author, intricate and extraordinary, New York Times, winner of Hugo 2016, New York Times notable book of 2015, astounding NPR, amazing and leaky, what is that word? Elegaic, complex and intriguing, Publishers Weekly, yeah, Washington Post, Guardian. They all love it. I'm sure I will too. Oh, and the series is called the Broken Earth Trilogy. So you have the 5th season, and I mean, hey, if my reading, you know, I'm hoping for it to be amazing in 2021 because of how dismal it was in 2020. But if you want to know, the second book is the Obelisk Gate, and the third one is The Stone Sky. I would also like to continue with an author that I've read before, but I would like to pick up another one of her books, and that is The Walled City by Ryan Groudon. I read Wolf by Wolf a couple of years ago, and then the second book to that duology, which the name is escaping me, but I loved them. They were so good. Really loved them. So I really want to read another one of Ryan Groudon's books. And I'll just read the back, just the top blurb. 730, that's how many days I've been trapped. 18, that's how many days I have left to find a way out. So essentially it's the group of kids that are stuck in this city. I feel like there was like a movie that I sort of watched, and it was about like New York City being walled off, and then you just dumped criminals into it. It's different from that one ridiculous series where there's like one day of lawlessness and you can like murder people. Different than that, older. I don't know when it came out, but this has this vibe. Yeah, didn't even watch the whole movie. It was just on when I was at somebody's house, and I have a really hard time not watching the TV if the TV's on. So I saw a part of it. So anyway, yeah, Walled City. Another YA book that I want to get to this year, and I want to get to the entire trilogy, is Shadow of Bone by Leigh Bardugo. So I bought these books. It is a while ago. I think it was right after college when I started traveling. I purchased these books. When did this come out? 2012, yeah. So I graduated college in 2013. So this makes sense. I purchased this pretty much right after I graduated, and I never read them. I own the trilogy and I just never read them. But I want to read them this year because the adaptation of this comes out in like March or April. I can't remember if it's Netflix that's doing it or Hulu. I don't know. Someone's doing an adaptation, and I want to read the book before I see the adaptation. I'm not a harsh critic when it comes to adaptations because I treat them as their own art. I don't think an adaptation needs to be identical to the written word. Artistic liberty, I'm okay with. I mean, major plot differences do kind of irk me, but like, if a character is supposed to be blonde and they're not blonde, that does not bother me. If we truncate some of the siblings down into, 4 instead of 5, and they don't have a major part, that's not a huge bothersome. That doesn't bother me too much. If a different character dies, that is a little annoying. But anyway, Shadow of Bone is the first book in the Grisha trilogy. It's about a girl named Alina who discovers that she has magical powers, and she is then trained to be a member of the Grisha, which is like a magical group, and they are led by something called the Darkling. And I don't know, I feel like it's like a chosen one trope, but yep. Would love to get this. I'll probably get to this earlier rather than later because of the series. And then another YA is The Other Side of the Sky by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. I have no idea what this book is about. I don't plan to read what this book is about, but I'm sure it's a sci-fi love story, because Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner wrote another trilogy that took me by surprise. I tend to listen to like YA contemporary on audio, and normally I don't read a ton of fantasy on audio unless I think the series is going to be mediocre, where I'm just like, yeah, it'll be a 3-star, so I'll listen to it on audio. And so I picked up that series and I loved it. I think I gave them 4 stars. So anyway, I didn't realize that they came out with a new book, and so I bought it. Isn't the cover really pretty? I had a really hard time putting this on my bookshelf when it was rainbow, because this is like a metallic bronze yellow to blue. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a sci-fi fantasy. There's like a cat on the cover. There's also this world floating. I'm sure it's gonna be grand. Let's talk about another YA fantasy. Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I loved... Wait, did I say Aurora Rising? This is Aurora Burning. Did I mess up there? I loved Aurora Rising. I loved it so much. And I was like so hyped to get this book, and I haven't read it. I have a feeling, because Aurora Rising is such a quick book, I'm probably going to read Aurora Rising first. Gosh, 2021 is going to be the year of rereading. I can already tell. But this is a fantasy or a sci-fi book. This is book 2 in the Aurora cycle, and it is about a group of like cadets, and they are off to save the universe. They're kind of fugitives. There is, so recapping the first book, there is a girl on a ship, and one of the main characters, he discovers her, and she's on this ship that is supposed to have been missing for thousands of years, hundreds of years. So he rescues her, and in turn, he misses his like graduating test, and so he's left with the misfits to be his team. So he gets like the lowest score, and then he's given like a really lame task for his team to do, but it doesn't seem like the task is as straightforward, and that there was a reason that they were given this seemingly easy, silly task. So this is Aurora Burning. I can't wait to get to this. The ending of Aurora Rising was something, so I'm very excited for this. Another book series that I want to continue on with is The Girl in the Tower, which is the sequel to Bear and the Nightingale. I read this, it was the beginning of this year? Or was it the end? I can't remember. Girl in the Tower, like I said, is the second book, and I'm lucky enough to have this signed by Catherine Arden. I did see her talk at the Columbus Library. Yeah, it was winter, but I can't remember if it was before New Year or if it was after New Year. I just can't. So this is a Russian historical fantasy novel, and our main character Vasya, she can like see the spirits that are present in her village, and there's like this priest that comes and he just essentially hates her. There's a lot more to it. It's really a discussion about old religion, new religion, and it's really good. Am I describing these books well enough? Do you want to read these? I don't know. I love these editions. If you like this edition, this is the UK. These are the UK editions. I bought them on Book Outlet, not Book Outlet, Book Depository, I think. I can't remember. So they're really, it's like a soft matte. Really nice. I like these covers more than the US covers, that's for sure. And then the next two are going to be rereads. So the first one is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have not reread this series. It is my favorite series. Sarah J. Maas is one of my favorite authors, and her next book, so there's A Court of Thorns and Roses, there's 3, and then there's like a really crappy novella, and then there are going to be 3, a new trilogy. So this is the first, and I would like to reread all 3 of them before the next one comes out, which the date was originally the end of January. Now it is either February or March. So I do have a little bit more time. I have a feeling I'll fly through these, especially since it is a reread. I'm a bit disappointed that the newest book is going to have a cover change. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking of buying, I'll probably buy a book jacket because, a dust jacket, because I really like these covers. I think these covers are awesome. And I really don't like the cover redesigns. I really don't like the redesigns for the paperback edition either. Like, they're so boring looking. So anyway, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling centered around fae or fairies, and the faes are kind of cruel. There's a human world and a fae world, and there's a wall between them, and Feyre, our main character, accidentally, well, she kills an animal that turns out to be a fairy, and that is punishable by death, but instead of being killed, she is taken prisoner to the fairyland, right? Beauty and the Beast. So love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then another book that I want to reread is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. The 4th book came out this month, and I am looking forward to this reread. I would love to do this like first, second week of January. Love to do that. An Ember in the Ashes is like a Roman fantasy series. You have 2 main characters, a girl, I never remember all of these characters' names. Leia is a slave and Elias is a soldier, and she is a slave in this compound where he is being trained, and she is essentially trying to save her brother who has been arrested, and she does not know where he is. And of course, it's like a love story, but it's so much more than that. Like I said, the 4th book just came out, so if you want to, you can read this entire series because it's all out. Jumping to some romance, contemporary romance, I have Red, White, Royal Blue. Yep, haven't read it yet. This sounds so adorable. I know it'll be such a quick read, such a fun read, but this is about the son of the president, who is a woman, and the son of the king and queen of England, who and they hate each other, but then they love each other. So it's like a hate to love, but also trying to like keep their relationship out of the tabloids and all of that. Oh, I can't wait. This sounds so cute. I've heard it's so good. I wanted to read it for quite a while. So Red, White, Royal Blue by Casey McQuestion. And this is A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. I read the Bringing Down the Duke, which is the first book to this series. Loved it so much. This is going to be another book centered around one of the characters on the first one. This is Lady Lucy, and she was the one that was kind of organizing all the suffragists. So it centers around her and probably the fight for women's rights. Now we're gonna get into a bout of fantasy, which this list is pretty much fantasy. The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Yep. I would like to start this series, and I'm going to start with the first one. This is the first Mistborn book 1. I just think this should be where I start rather than the Stormlight Archives. Mistborn, the series, is about after the big battle and the evil wins and life after that. So I don't know a ton, which is pretty good since this book has been out and it's talked about all the time. But that is another book. Then I have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. The 3rd book to this series also just recently came out. So if this book sounds interesting to you, you could read the whole thing. This one is definitely not YA. This one is adult. This one is gory, dark, gruesome. I haven't read it, obviously. Well, I guess not obviously since I'm rereading, but this one has quite a lot of themes that if you are sensitive, maybe read some synopses to see if you're gonna like this. But this is a fantasy about war. There's magic involved, and what it sounds like is there's no clear good versus evil. Most options are bad options, but it's like what is the worst option? It follows our main character Rin, and Rin goes to school. There's like a magic school, but then war happens, and then it kind of jumps into a war. So Poppy War is the first one. Also, R.F. Kuang this is her debut novel, and this has gotten rave reviews, which that's awesome. Another fantasy book, Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I have the second book to this. The second book came out last year, I believe. Yeah. And this also was optioned for a film, like right as it came out. I don't know if that's gone anywhere. This is based on West African folklore, mythology. It definitely has its roots there, and it's a fantasy book. The land in which this book takes place used to have magic, but it has just been disappearing. Our main character has the chance to bring the magic back, and save the world, save the kingdom. So that's this book. Another book that I'd like to read in 2021 is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I sort of read this book. I don't know, I think I read like 100 pages of it, and I was watching the show, and then I stopped watching the show because I needed to read the book, and then I just never got to it, so then I stopped watching the show. So, yep, another example. I feel like Outlander is pretty well known, but if you were a fan of the show and were unfamiliar that it is a book series, this is the first one, Outlander. They are pretty chunky. This one might be the smallest one of the group, and it is over 600 pages. What is this? A Spectrum business card. Don't need that in here. Claire somehow travels back in time to Scotland, the year 1743, where she meets Jamie Fraser. This is a romance with historical time traveling. I think this is pretty unique. I don't read a ton of time traveling books, but I think I'm gonna like it. The only thing, so I think the reason why I haven't really started the series is because I don't like multi-generational stories. I don't like following a character and then following their children. That's never been something I like, and I think it's because I don't want children. And so I just don't care about your children. I just don't care about them. And so when I read a book and then they give birth and then they have children, and then like you follow the children, like I'm just like, I don't care about them. It just seems so final that, okay, you now have a child, like your chapter is closed. So yeah, that's probably gonna be my most controversial opinion in this whole thing. That's kind of why once I realized that you follow her kid after a while, so yeah. Next up is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. This just sounds hilarious. This book intrigued me as soon as I heard about it. It's about these kids, these two kids of a politician who, when they're mad, they catch on fire. I mean, that sounds funny, right? It's literary fiction. There's definitely more to the story. Like, this probably means something, but that just sounds really funny to me. Also, it's pretty short, so I think it would be an easy read. How many pages? Are there even 200? Okay, there's 250 pages, so really easy. Another short book, but probably not easy, is The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. This also, when this came out, I was very interested in this. This is historical fiction, and it's about these boys at a school, and the school, it's based on a real school, and these boys were tortured, and they're still finding bodies on the land of this school. Pretty sure it's down in Florida. This is he won the Pulitzer Prize for this book. I want to say he also won it for Underground Railroad. I think so. So this is another one, short, maybe 200, yeah, it's 210 pages. So another short one. We're in the home stretch, guys. Another book on this list is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I purchased this when it came out, and the trilogy is now finished. I don't own the other ones. So I if I continue on, I made a little rule for myself for 2021 that I do have to get rid of 2 books for every book that I bring in. That'll be very hard for me to stick to. But anyway, The Cruel Prince, it is about 2 siblings. Are they sisters? They're part fae. This is another like fae series. They're part fae, and they're brought into like the fae kingdom, but they're human, and so they're kind of ostracized, and there's, I feel like it's hate to love, but I heard that it's like very, very much hate. Yeah, this book. And then second to last book that I want to read in 2021 is The Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. This is the 3rd and final book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. Yeah, I haven't finished this. I don't really like reading books back to back, like series back to back. I get kind of burnt out on them. And as much as I love the first and the second book, I know I'm gonna love the 3rd one. I also am kind of savoring them because I know I love them. But I think it's time. It's time to finish this book up, finish the series, and then jump into some of her other books. Oh, if you have not heard of the Shade of Magic trilogy, this is adult high fantasy, but very accessible. Like this is a good series to jump into. I picked it for my work book club that I was doing, and most of my coworker friends that were in it don't read fantasy, but I really wanted them to read fantasy because like I've been picking books that, you know, I felt like I knew the group would like, but I'm like, I want to pick a book I know I will love, and maybe they will. And success, because I know of 2 of them that actually read the entire trilogy. And yeah, so anyway, this is about different Londons, a black or blah blah blah, white London, red London, gray London, and black London, I think. Well, there's different variation or different levels of magic at each of the Londons, and our main character can jump between the different Londons. So there's he and one other person are able to do this like jumping between the worlds. So they're very special in that ability. And of course, they're, you know, when there's different worlds, typically they want to take each other over. So it's great. The second one is like a bit of a Goblet of Fire-esque, in that there's like a magical tournament. Really good. I probably like the second one more than I like the first one, but I'm really looking forward to this. And then the 21st book that I would like to read in 2021 is Die Kinder aus Bullabü by Astrid Lindgren. I have a lot of German books, and some of them I have read, some of them I haven't. I have read part of this, but I never finished it, and I really want to read at least one German book this year. And this is the one that I've chosen to read. I really like Astrid Lindgren, even though she's not a German author. I'm not sure what it's translated. Maybe it's translated from English, but normally it says that. It says Zeichnungen von Elon Wickland. So that would be the author of who translated it, but it doesn't say translated out of what. I'll put it up on the screen or on the bottom somewhere, just to, you know, do my due diligence of what the original language this book is in. But I have quite a few Astrid Lindgren in German because there were a lot of these when I was a kid. There were a lot of these books. So yeah, this is like about a bunch of ragtag kids in a city or town. There's a couple in the series. And maybe I'll try and find the other one. Okay, now I'm a little confused. Inside the book flap, it lists the other books in the series, and it says Wir Kinder aus Bullabü, and this says Die Kinder und mehr von uns Kindern aus Bullabü und immer lustig in Bullabü. Oh wait, is this an anthology and there's multiple books in this? Can't tell. But either way, this is one of the books I would like to read in 2021, and I feel like it's just gotten so dark, even with my lights. But that is it. Thank you for watching. If you liked this, hit the thumbs up. Let me know if there are any books that you're thinking of reading in 2021. Let me know. Again, these are the ones that I just own that I plan to read this year. Yeah, let me know what you're reading. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.